So a very good afternoon.
Here live, sir.
Welcome to the third JGLS Young Scholars Colloquium. It's such a pleasure every time having our alumni and students speaking on some topic, joining us from India, from around the world. A very good morning to Gursahez, joining us from Ithaca in New York, from Cornell, 7:30 a.m. in the morning. And good afternoon, Anush, joining us from the UK, from University of East Anglia. Chitrakchi, probably from Ranchi, and Saurabh from Bangalore, Nimhans. So it's such a pleasure, such a delight for me. I'm seeing some of you after a long, long time, particularly our first panelist, Anush Rajgopal. So my role here is to introduce this colloquium, the theme, and the panelists to the audience. And then I will like to invite you one by one to share your experiences, your journeys, and what exactly you are doing in terms of your education and profession, as well as the various study abroad pathways which are offered at Jindal Global Law School and how they have been used by you, as well as I will throw some light about it. But I must tell you, it has been a great experience. I remember so well Anush joining in 2012 as a young class 12 pass out from modern school Barakamba Road in Delhi, and joining E-section in BA LLB honors, and then graduating in 2017. Little did I know he's going to pursue a master's at University of East Anglia, and then also securing a scholarship to do a PhD in law at the same university, as well as teaching law in University of East Anglia. He has offered courses in the same legal methods which I was teaching in 2012 to his class, E-section in 2012. This is how, and I fondly remember, Anush, the way you became the yoga teacher for the whole university. A lot of students and even faculty members and staff in those times learned yoga from you in the present Moot Court Hall on campus. Welcome to this colloquium, and thank you so much for joining from the UK, taking time out from your busy schedule. Our youngest panelist in this, we have two young people, Chitrakchi, who is our LLB final year student. And more importantly, she got her first degree also from OP Jindal Global University. I remember you, Chitrakchi, coming all the way from Ranchi, but after schooling from Mayo College Ajmer and coming here to study in Jindal School of International Affairs, the BA Honors Global Affairs program. After getting your degree in international relations, you chose to study LLB, and now a student in the final year of law program. Gursahaj is another younger one, still our student in the final year of BA LLB honors program, and an exchange student who is on a dual degree program to Cornell University in Ithaca, New York, where he's pursuing a dual degree JD program. And in 2022, he will be earning his BLLB honors degree from Jindal, and 23, he will be completing his Juris Doctor qualification from the Cornell Law School in the US. And last but not the least, Saurabh, who has some remarkable achievement to his credit very recently, where he got published in a Scopus indexed international journal, not of law, but a journal of psychiatry called Asian Journal of Psychiatry, published by Elsevier, Netherlands. And I believe mostly consulted by the psychiatrists and the psychiatry and mental health professional. Saurav comes with a unique background. He has studied social sciences, mainly sociology, political science, economics at the Christ College in Christ University in Bangalore, and then joined our LLB 3-year program in 2017, completed LLB in 2020, and now working at the apex institution in the field of mental health called NIMHANS, the National Institute of Mental Health and Neurological Sciences, Neurosciences in Bangalore, and a part of one of the centers there as a project officer, doing remarkable work in mental health. I will like the panelists to share their experiences, their journeys, and of course, I will throw some light about the study abroad pathway at Jindal Global Law School, which is the theme of today's colloquium. So particularly before I invite Anush to speak about his journey and the work he's doing, his PhD is in a very interesting topic, very interesting area, competition law and policy in digital markets, with a focus on pricing practices of digital platforms. I will like Anush to throw some light on that. But before that, I must tell the audience that at Jindal Global Law School, there are 3 forms of a study abroad pathways. One pathway which Gursahaj is following, the dual degree pathway, where he is going to earn a Juris Doctor qualification from Cornell University, one of our partner universities. The other one is a semester exchange program, which some of our panelists have done, like Chitrakshi went for a semester exchange. The other pathway is indeed the summer schools and winter schools, which are dedicated programs for Jindal Global Law School and OP Jindal Global University students in our partner universities like Oxford, Harvard, Fletcher, even the Wharton School in Pennsylvania, and many other universities and institutions around the country, around the world. So the last pathway, I will say, it's something which our students find for themselves. Someone who has not gone for a semester exchange, who has not gone for a summer school or winter school, who might not have gone for a dual degree, but after completing the LLB or BA LLB degree, someone like Anush, who has chosen to do an LLM in a university in the UK, University of East Anglia, and then also got a scholarship to pursue a PhD. This year, if I look at the 2021 graduating batch, so far 48 of our graduates have joined world's top law schools and universities in master's degrees in LLM, Juris Doctor, and very interesting, one of our graduates had joined the Parsons School of Design, the new school in New York, after completing a 5-year BA LLB degree. So it has been an interesting and I will say inspiring experience of global and international education of Jindal Global Law School, which has been the mandate, which has been the vision, which has been the mission of Jindal Global Law School since 2009, when it was started in a very humble way with 100 students and 10 faculty members. Today, I'm so delighted to tell Anush, who has not been to campus for a long time, and all of you, that we are over 4,000 full-time law students and 490 full-time faculty members at Jindal Global Law School. There are over 900 faculty members in the entire university. This is like one of the largest law faculty in whole of Asia and maybe entire world. and indeed the largest law school and largest law faculty in India. With 490 faculty members, we are almost double or triple the size of most of the leading law schools in Singapore, Hong Kong, Taiwan, Taipei, or even most of the universities or law schools in China. So it has been a great journey. This all has been done in 12 years. This month is very, very important when we have started this Young Scholars Colloquium, as we complete 12 years of our existence, 12 years of our classes. Our classes started on 30th September 2009. And we are actually going to complete 12 years of our existence as a university, as a law school, as an institution. With these words, I would like to invite Anush for his introduction, sharing his experiences and his academic and professional journey so far. Over to you, Anush.
Thank you, Anandji, and thanks for having me here. It's a pleasure to share my experience, and if it helps someone, then that's absolutely phenomenal. I'll start off where you left off, since you mentioned about 2012 and me joining Jindal. So Anandji was one of the first people I saw when I did come with my parents to see the campus. And we saw the campus, we absolutely loved it, and went around many other law school campuses, and this one definitely seemed quite exceptional in the infrastructure. And when you do see the people who teach there, even back in 2012 when it wasn't as big as it is right now, the faculty came from everywhere in the world, which is something different from most law schools in India, because you don't see a lot of law schools in India invest in foreign faculty and invest in good teaching, which I think is the differentiating factor in Jindal, and which definitely I feel helped me throughout my journey and even right now. So throughout law school, I did enjoy studying different subjects in law, but I think about my second or third year, I realized not into the practice part of it, and I definitely don't want to be a lawyer or do corporate law or any of that sort. So for me, I was always looking for a pathway out of law practice. So that's when I started to get more interested in things like academia and things like jurisprudence and legal policy and legal philosophy. And to make it a bit more practical, even though I did enjoy legal philosophy quite a bit, I thought legal policy is the way forward in many ways. And I did enjoy economics quite a bit as well, even before law school. So law and economics is one pathway that I was very interested in throughout my law school, which made me take courses such as competition law taught by Avirubos and law and economics. Also in my fourth and fifth year. And Jindal was a great place to have had the opportunity to do such courses. And sometimes we also had some visiting faculty from practitioners teaching some competition law courses, which is really good, because I did feel that I'm quite interested in the topic, but I wouldn't have been able to engage with it as much if I didn't get the quality of the teaching that I did get in Jindal. So overall, my personal experience was with competition law was in the intra-Jindal moot court competition in my second year. So that was based on competition law, and that's when I realized that there's something that exists where a law and economics play a role in legal practice, which really interested me. And even in my internship in the fourth year when with a law firm in India, LKS, I went to the competition team because I realized that is where I want to spend my focus and spend my time in, because that interested me more than the rest of the parts of the law. Subsequently, finished law school to my satisfaction with an okayish grade, and yeah, the whole law school experience was also great in Jindal because I got to, as Anandji mentioned, I got to teach yoga because I've been teaching yoga for a long while, even before law school. And in law school, I was able to continue my practice, and I was honored quite well by the end of it, which was surprising, with a lot of prizes, which was really great from Jindal's part as well. And yeah, I was incentivized for all the nice things that I could do. And similarly, people around me also, all the talents that they had, they were able to use them while engaging with the law study, which is the good part about Jindal. Also, cricket was a big part of my life, and I got to play in the cricket team, which was also a really fun part for me. All in all, obviously these are hobbies, but these somehow help in the main study part as well, because if you're not having fun generally in life, I don't think you'll be able to do the study part that well. So that's where Jindal, I thought, was quite unique. No, I'm not taking away from other law schools, because having not studied anywhere else, I can't talk about them, but Jindal definitely did give me that good experience. Once I finished law school, I knew that I do want to take a law and economics pathway or a competition law pathway, irrespective of whether I go into legal policy or into further study, which is an LLM, because I knew I'm not going to join a law firm or go into court practice. That's I knew that I'm not interested in it, so there's no point doing it. So I did apply for a lot of LLMs, and I got through many places, but I picked UEA, which wasn't as highly ranked as most other places on on a few metrics. So one of the metrics was they did give me a bit of scholarship more than other places, but the main metric for me was the faculty. So I realized that the University of East Anglia Center for Competition Policy is one of the biggest centers for competition law and competition economics in the world, not just in the UK. So, and some of the topmost people work in the Center for Competition Policy. So, which is why I thought this would be the place where I could push my academic focus a bit more. And it worked out because throughout my LLM, I engaged with a lot of faculty here who are experts in competition law and competition economics, and which helped me develop a PhD topic. And then subsequently, the process is during your first few months in the master's, it gets a bit hectic because you're doing coursework and then you try to develop a PhD topic. And I submitted a PhD topic with not a lot of hope of it getting accepted, but they did accept it. And then I worked harder for the interview, and it went through, and surprisingly got the scholarship as well. So I was privileged enough to now have had the opportunity to go through the PhD process, which I think is a phenomenal process. It's a very solitary process. So if you're not interested in academia and engaging with one particular topic for a long time, then you need to ask yourself whether that is something you want to do, or whether law practice is what interests you. But for me, this is something I really enjoyed doing, because all in all, to put it very bluntly, it's a bit more chill. I have my own schedule, can wake up whenever I can. I do my work. The thing is, you need to do your work. You don't have to wake up in the morning, have the law firm routine, do 12 hours a day. I mean, you might want to do 12 hours a day when you have a deadline looming around, but usually you get your own schedule done. You do whatever you want to in life, and yeah, but then that is also the tough part, because you make your own curriculum, you make your own schedule, and no one is overlooking you. You have supervisors, so roughly I meet them once a month, and yeah, but roughly you're taking care of yourself in the PhD process. So which is something very different from most jobs. So it is a job, but you give yourself the job, and then you try to complete the tasks according to your own what you feel is required to be done. Coming to my PhD topic, my focus is on competition law and digital markets, to do with firms like Facebook, Google, Amazon, and their pricing practices. So right now I'm in the end of my PhD. I hope to, I have a year more, but I hope to finish in the next 6 odd months so that I can start the next venture. But I'm looking at practices such as excessive data collection by online digital platforms. then also price discrimination using consumer data. One of my chapters is to do with predatory pricing. And I'm also looking at competition law remedies. So remedies are what can the law do in order to prevent these practices from happening again, and what can the law do to find these firms to deter them from acting or in the manner that they are acting or infringing, basically. So in a very simple manner. That is my PhD topic, and I think I'll give the floor back to Anandji, and I think I'll have, he said that I'll have time later to explain stuff more. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anush. It's such a delight to hear about your journey from you, and all the best for your PhD. We want to see you very soon as Dr. Anush. And indeed, I was delighted to see the courses you are teaching in University of East Anglia in UEA, the courses in European Union law, the courses in legal methods and competition law, all emerging areas and important, I will say, areas of law. But now I will like to bring Saurabh to speak about his journey, who comes from a completely different background, and he has worked in the areas of mental health laws, in juvenile justice, children in conflict with laws, and presently working as a project officer of Samvad at Nimhans in Bangalore. It's something not a regular path which most of the law graduates follow, but I'm so very proud of Saurabh that he did not follow the traditional lawyering path, but in a way made his own path by, I will say, choosing to work in an area which is of paramount importance in today's times. And of course, as I told, he came with a BA degree from Christ University in Bangalore, where he studied economics, political science, and sociology. Before that, he was a part of the Christ Junior College in Bangalore. And right now, he is also working in Bangalore. So I will like him to share his experience being a student at Sonipat, living Bangalore for 3 years. And also, he was in a way our 2020 graduate when this COVID pandemic happened and they could not spend many months on campus. And the batches which graduated in 2020 and 2021, in some way, they suffered due to COVID. They could not be present on campus. A lot of teaching, learning happened online. And that was a different experience. They actually, all our students who graduated in 2020 and 2021, they are as good a COVID warrior as anybody else in the government and elsewhere. So over to you, Saurabh. Such a pleasure to have you.
Thank you very much, sir, for that, I think, particularly kind introduction. I don't think it would be right for me or my fellow batchmates to think of ourselves as COVID warriors, certainly, but it was strange to graduate in a time where you're not really not able to see people that you spent 3 years with, at least for me, because I did the 3-year course. And none of it was really, there was no notice as such. So it was a bit of a strange experience. I think I was just discussing this before we went live as well. Just being able to do this right now is quite nice, because in a way you're getting to engage with people from Jindal in a way that we couldn't, at least in our last semester or so. So to begin with my journey, I think just to take off from where Professor left, I did my BA from Christ University, of course, in economics, political science, and sociology. My main focus then and what I thought I'd be doing later was international political economy, because political economy was a subject that I was particularly interested in. And it was something that I'd worked on even during my assessments, during my engagements with professors then. So I was very sure that I was going to be doing a master's in international political economy. But things change, obviously. And I think that's one. I don't know if this is necessarily helpful for people who are thinking about applying to law school later, but just the way I think about it, at least, there is no laid down path, even with something that you think you're interested in. So for me, although I felt like I wanted to do international political economy, there was also a very strong interest for me in international relations. I done lots of model UNs and competitions of that sort in school and in university as well. So that was also something that that was very interesting to me, and I was very interested in the intersection of political economy, international relations, and so on. So then eventually I was thinking about it, and I realized that what I'd wanted to do was less international relations, more international law. So international law, then my interest sort of morphed into being related to international law, and which is when I took my LSATs and wasn't particularly hopeful of doing well there, but thankfully it went well, and I ended up at Jindal. I also received a scholarship at Jindal, which I think helped me pursue my studies at Jindal. And one particular aspect of, I think, Jindal's approach to legal education, which is certainly lacking, I think, in many universities across the country, is the lack of focus on the 3-year course. I think it's particularly important because to expect everyone to be able to make a decision to study something like the law, which is a lot, which can be quite a heavy discipline, right after 12th is a bit of a onerous burden, I think. In some cases, people might be able to, in some cases, they may not. And ideally, if it is the entire field is based on you being interested in pursuing something, you should have the opportunity to be able to decide what you want to do. Even after you do something else, you realize that wasn't necessarily what I'd wanted to do. So for me to be able to do the 3-year course, I think really helped, because I don't think I would have been able to decide that I wanted to study the law right after 12th. I had so many ideas in my mind. I was so confused. And I think just being able to do the 3-year course really helped. In Jindal, of course, again, I went through lots of changes. I am a decidedly undecided person, I think, because that's the best way to describe myself. So for me to really hone in and pick something has always been a bit difficult. And I suspect a lot of people watching this today also find themselves in a very similar place, and that's okay, I think. So for me, it began with international law in college. I got to work with Professor Popovsky, who's someone who's worked with the UN and who's done extensive work in international criminal law. Working with him, helping him edit some of his book chapters and so on was a very helpful experience for me because it drew my interest to international criminal law. And then I also ended up taking his elective, and that also sort of contributed to my perspective on international law. But after that, again, went through the same question of, crisis as to what I want to do. I was asking myself these questions about, do I really want to be doing international law? Because this is a subject that I'm really interested in, but I was having difficulty with seeing its utility. Like, what can you really do in this space in terms of contributing to change in policy? Like Anush just discussed previously, I really resonated with what Anush said, because I don't see myself as a lawyer, and I don't think litigation would have particularly interested me, but policy is something that interests me, and obviously is what I'm doing today. So these questions came back, like, how much of a difference can you make to systems if you if you're dealing with something like international law, which is so important, but also there are so many contradictions, there are so many challenges in really making a difference in that sense. So again, I went through a period of crisis, and I must say, someone who really helped me through Jindal was Professor Roni Sen. She was teaching. The first course she taught us was law of crimes. And just being able to question the assumptions of the law, even in a course like law of crimes, being able to question the assumptions of the law. Why is the law so gendered? What is the history in the making of the law? And then, of course, I had the opportunity to have her as a coach for my moot, which was also in international criminal law. I took her course in international humanitarian law, again, to sort of round off my interest in international law. And then finally, the course that really helped me, which I think also has an impact on what I do today, was a course on critical international law. Just being able to learn critical pedagogy, to question the assumptions of the law, again, to question the role of states in the law, to question the the sort of approach to teaching the law itself, I think that was quite interesting for me. So all of that eventually, the point I want to make is all of that eventually, got me to where I am right now. So it wasn't that, I did international law and then I gave up on international law. I did economics and then I gave up on economics. All of what you study there helps because it all feeds into what you want to do later, I think. So for me to go through that, then I realized that, there are many parts of international law that still interest me greatly. But, I do want to be focusing on systems work and systems change, because I think that was something that particularly spoke to me. During my time at Jindal, of course, I had the opportunity to intern with a former state public prosecutor and someone who'd worked extensively on POCSO cases, on child sexual abuse cases. So that was something that interested me. And after a few months, of course, after graduating Jindal, I found myself drawn to child and law work, which I think I'll be discussing a little later once we're discussing, what all of us are up to essentially now. But yeah, that's been my journey. My journey is basically, if I can just put it very short, I can just say that it's been a journey of contradictions, which I think is completely okay. I don't think anybody's supposed to have it figured out and, you pick this and you have to stick with this because that's the, you've already put too many eggs in the basket. Because that's something I found myself saying a lot, I've already done so much in international law, can I shift? And then I realized it's not really a shift. It's just, you branch out in different subjects and you can do many things. One of the things that I really sort of internalized, especially with Professor Sen's course on critical approaches to international law, was that our problems are fundamentally transdisciplinary. Our problems are not rooted in one discipline. Our problems aren't just legal problems or mental health problems or education problems or, whatever else. Our problems cross disciplines. So your approach from a policy focus has to also be transdisciplinary. There's no other way for it to be effective in the way you would want it to be. So I think that's been my journey in Jindal. Of course, I really miss the fact that we couldn't do our last semester in Jindal. I was also actually, I went for a competition from Jindal. So I was out of the country for more than a week or so. And then I never got to come back. So I just came home directly. So I think any opportunity that we have to engage with people from Jindal, or if we can ever come back to campus, I think that'd be fantastic. So thank you once again for having us here, sir. I think this is wonderful.
Amazing, Saurabh. I'm so glad to hear from you. And I must say, one of the major things which Jindal Global University and Jindal Global Law School did in higher education was to break these compartments of disciplines and subjects. For example, I went to Campus Law Center in Delhi University, and I did my LLM also at the Faculty of Law. I ended up spending more than 5 years on the North Campus. If you look at the location, those who are from Delhi can very well, resonate. From law faculty, Delhi School of Economics is just a stone throw away. From there, the Faculty of Management Studies is again hardly a 3 or 4 minutes walk. It's just other side of the road. But never ever I found any professor from Delhi School of Economics or Faculty of Management Studies just crossing the road and teaching at the Faculty of Law or otherwise. So a law professor teaching in Delhi School of Economics or FMS, though all are premier institutions in their own way, but there is certain compartmentalization. Now, Anush was talking about law and economics. Imagine if some professor of law from Delhi Law Faculty could join hands with a professor of economics from Delhi School of Economics and jointly offered a course or a program in Delhi University, what it would have been. I mean, the law and economics programs around the world combine the powers of economics and law in a way, doing the economic analysis of law. And you have both premier institutions and scholars in the same campus, but there is certain compartmentalization. So at OP Jindal Global University, you will be delighted to know we are offering some 500 electives now. And out of that, over 200 are cross-registered electives. So a student in law school is choosing a course in business school, in international affairs, in public policy. A student of journalism can take up a course in law school. A student of art and architecture can even take up a course in law school or a business school student can study a course in constitutional law. So this kind of cross-registration of courses and a rich elective system, it's something even recommended by the New Education Policy 2020 in the Ministry of Education mandate for the universities and higher education institutions in India. So our next speaker will be Chitrakshi, but before I invite Chitrakshi, I must tell the audience that we will try to take a few good questions from the audience. Please feel free. Those who have joined us in the Zoom session, you should use the chat box, put your questions from the panelists individually or collectively. And those who have joined us on YouTube or Facebook channels of OP Jindal Global University, you should also be free to put your queries there. So over to you, Chitrakshi. Chitrakshi comes with a unique background. In a way, she's our own graduate of BA Global Affairs program at the School of International Affairs. And then she chose to again pursue 3-year LLB program at Jindal Global Law School, a final year student now. I mean, she has an experience of spending a semester in New Jersey in the US. And also she comes from Mayo College, Ajmer, a residential girls' school, very renowned for all-round holistic development of girl students in the country. So over to you, Chitrakshi, and thank you for joining us in this colloquium.
Thank you, Professor Mishra. It gives me immense pleasure to be a part of this panel, sir. Hope you're all doing fine and in good health. My name is Chitrakshi, currently in my 3rd year of LLB. I think Anush's and Saurabh's words are extremely helpful for me as well. And I won't be able to share from their experience point of views, but I would like to share whatever experience I've had so far. I started my journey with an undergraduate degree in global affairs, which is basically the study in international relations, which is a broad discipline in itself. I primarily took this course as it would get me closer to my legal profession. In my 2nd year of bachelor's, I went for a semester exchange program to William Patterson University, New Jersey. Some of the subjects I took there were criminology, business law, and human trafficking. I primarily took these law courses to build up a good foundation to my legal profession, which I wanted to pursue, as well as to understand the American legal system. This semester exchange program was very helpful for me as I got some ground level experience at the Municipal Court of New Jersey, as well as other courts in New Jersey. Overall, this was when I made up my mind to study LLB. And in my 1st year of LLB, I went for a short-term winter school study abroad cum internship program at IMT Paris, France, and worked on projects sponsored by UNESCO. And the rigorous programs were interspersed with visits to United Nations and the European Parliament in Brussels. Lately, I have been interning with the Blacks and Whites law firm in Ranchi for the past 1 year. Due to the pandemic, it's just been a semester I have experienced in LLB in JGU. So I've just been doing internships, and I have been more inclined, rather interested towards family law, and got a lot of experience as to the courts functioning, drafting petitions, and other such experiences. Earlier, I had interned in the Jharkhand Human Rights Commission, and got first-hand experiences as to how some of the lower stratas of the society were facing basic human rights violations and how it would be officially taken care of. Particularly, a major social problem faced in the state of Jharkhand was witchcraft. Witchcraft was where innocent tribal women were victimized as witches. and there was hardly any protection from the law enforcement agencies, and most of the cases ended in acquittal because they were not properly pursued in the court. I also had the opportunity to intern under intern under a high court judge, wherein I learned various experiences and about the functioning, about the various constituents of criminal justice system, apart from writ petitions arising out of disputes, civil disputes, and election related program matters. Had this pandemic not taken place, I would have liked to go for another semester exchange program from JGLS, but because of the tie-up of our school, which our school has with various top law universities around the world. The standard of teaching with professors from various universities of the world give us great exposure in JGLS and in-depth knowledge of various aspects of a subject. JGLS also gives us a wide variety of internship opportunities to understand comprehensive working of the system. Each year, our school gives us more and more opportunities for semester exchange programs, summer schools, and winter schools. I'm further planning to do my LLM overseas with the help of JGLS. And overall, I believe that 3+3 law degree has been a very wise choice for me, with a lot of advantages and with a bundle of opportunities. That's all from my side, Professor. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Chitrakshi. I'm myself a big supporter of the 3+3 pathway. And I have seen many of our students who have chosen to do an undergrad degree and then study the LLB degree program. I remember last colloquium when Ankit was a part of it, who completed again a BA Global Affairs program. The way he has specialized in international law, certainly the background of studying global affairs and international relations in a very comprehensive way, being a part of Jindal School of International Affairs, has helped. And now at the law school, we have a 3-year undergraduate degree, which has been started last year. It's a BA Honors in Legal Studies. I'm sure a BA, what in the US and UK and many places, they call it BA Law. A BA Law combined with LLB Honors at Jindal, it's going to be a great way to become, I will say, an accomplished and holistic lawyer, and not just the 5-year law program, which has been actually more popular nowadays in, say, last few decades in the country. So the 3+3 pathway is going to stay. It's going to remain important. Now, I will certainly encourage the audience to ask questions. But before that, I will like Anush to come back and share his own journey, and in a way, the study abroad pathway which he followed by choosing an LLM, pursuing a PhD, and also throwing some light about for the future law students, how they should have the aspiration to explore study abroad options while being at the law school in India. Over to you, Anush.
Thank you. With regard to just how I started to pursue a master's, was I think I decided right about the end of my 4th year that I do possibly want to do a master's. I looked at options in India, and no disrespect to most universities in India, but I think a lot of focus is often given to an undergrad degree, be it a BA LLB or an LLB. A master's focus is restricted to a very few law schools. So there's this one law school in Delhi that only does master's courses. I forgot the name. I remember that was the only one that specialized in postgrad education for law. I feel that in India, focus is very much practice oriented when it comes to law, and there's not that much exposure to academia. Jindal was that one exception, I have to say. And I also wanted to mention something that Saurabh and Anandji talked about earlier, which is regarding the interdisciplinary pathways that you get to engage with in Jindal. So this was something that was really interesting because, as I mentioned earlier, some of my teachers were economists. So Ashish Bhardwaj, he's an economist. He taught me law and economics, and it was really good because his focus is economics, but I was able to try to get the how the law can be related to that particular line of thought more than just more than just saying that, okay, this is what we take from economics, and okay, now we accept whatever the economists say. So understanding that is something that is really important. And for me personally, coming to the pathway, I have to confess, I mean, I didn't go through Jindal's pathways for a study abroad in any way, and I didn't utilize them as other people did, like going for semester abroad. So I tried to do it myself. And what really helped me was this exposure with different fields in the law. So this interdisciplinary study of law and economics particularly was relevant to me. As Saurabh said, law and politics might have been interesting for him. And definitely you have a lot of political scientists also teaching in the law school, and also a lot of sociologists also teaching in the law school. And I mean, obviously you have some exceptional teachers like Rohini Sen, who are really good in politics and law, and also who are able to also give you that kind of exposure and experience. To be fair, I don't want to single out any particular faculty member, because I think a lot of the faculty did play a major role in making me ready to engage with my own path, my future LLM endeavors. So that is something that I would like to mention, though, because I was able to engage with a lot of faculty on how they went and pursued their masters, because roughly most of Jindal's faculty has done at least one degree outside of India. And this was something that was really helpful to me, because I was able to just gauge different people's experiences. And this is where I went for an out-of-the-box law school as well for my master's, because usually the choice is between some American uni or one of the Russell Group unis or one London uni that people do go to. But if I did not talk to, say, someone like, I remember this was Indranath Gupta, because he'd studied at UEA as well. And then I'd gone and talked to him about it. And he mentioned more details about things. And that's when you actually realize, okay, what might be relevant to you, or what might be the way you want to take your future study forward. Because there is an easy way out of just, okay, you go apply for the good law schools, and if you make a certain grade, and obviously considering those things, you cut it through, you get certain law schools, okay, you go to them, safe option. But then if you want to take that further forward, say, for example, in my part, I wanted to make sure that I can engage in academia or legal policy. So I thought, even before I went for the master's, if I'm able to go to UEA, there is a possibility that the Center for Competition Policy is big enough to offer me an opportunity for further study, maybe a PhD. And that is something I considered beforehand. So that is where that is what led me towards my choices. And while there were unis that I made, which were a far higher rank when it came to an overall law index, I think the important part is definitely to see the course that you are doing, who is teaching you, and how that course can help you with your next venture as well. Because you can definitely, possibly if I went to a London Uni, Queen Mary, or UCL, or one of those, I hate to say it, but there are no future opportunities there, because there is a lot of cutthroat competition, one, but secondly, also there are just so many people there. There's just, and you won't get time for yourself. But when you choose something more particular and something more specialized, a law school, say, let me not just keep talking about competition law. Say, if I talk about, say, medical law, someone did mention medical law, and yes, you can do a medical law master's. There are a lot of opportunities there. Say, Edinburgh is a very good medical law school. And there, if you go and pursue that, then you know that you're going to be able to focus on that particular area very, very well, because they specialize in that area. So you want to look at what each law school specializes in. And that is something that really needs to be focused on, and which I think I did prioritize, and I'm lucky enough that it worked out. I can't say it might work out every time. Maybe for me, my university might not have been as good as I thought or I wanted it to be, but I got lucky. But you do need to research your opportunities quite well and know exactly what you are interested in. So that is what I focused on when I went for the master's, and then subsequently everything else.
Wonderful. So that's so good, Anush. You gave a very, I will say, comprehensive bird's eye view about your own journey, as well as why to choose UEA, despite the craze for Oxford, Cambridge, and all those London-based law school, from LSE and King's College, UCL to Queen Mary. I will now come to Gursahas. Gursahas is a brilliant young boy, still our final year students in the BLLB Honours program, and also a JD candidate in the Cornell Law School who had joined us very early morning. Thank you so much, Gursahas, joining as early as 7:30 a.m. From Ithaca in New York. And Gursahas studied at Amity International School in Mayur Vihar in Noida before coming to Jindal Global Law School to do his 5-year law program. But more importantly, he was one of the mooters who represented Jindal Global Law School in Philip C. Jessup moot court competition. I will also congratulate him for securing a summer associate position in White & Case, New York office in 2022. And most importantly, being a part of an Ivy League institution, the Cornell Law School in Cornell University. Over to you, Gursahas. You should share your journey, and also for the theme of today's webinar, for today's colloquium. Study abroad pathways, one of the unique pathway, the dual degree pathway you have chosen. You should throw some more light about you. Over to you.
Thanks a lot for those kind words, Professor. A really good evening to everyone who's present here. First of all, I'm deeply honored to be here, and thanks again, Professor Mishra, for organizing and inviting me to this colloquium. I think this is a great forum for people to talk about their experiences, and a great way to also mentor the students who actually want to pursue these dual degree programs. So I'll be talking about my journey in Jindal, from Jindal to Cornell and from Cornell to White & Case now. But before I start talking about this roller coaster of a journey, let me take this one point. The reason why I'm here is all because of Jindal. I look back 5 years ago when I was making the decision of which law school should I join. I had a bunch of universities that I could go to, but I decided to go to Jindal, and I think I made the right decision to come to this university. It would not have been possible without the opportunities that Jindal offers. Jindal will offer you a bunch of opportunities, but most importantly, the international exposure that Jindal has is something that I think no law school in India can offer. So yeah, in 2017, I joined Jindal. And in my first semester itself, Jindal signed this memorandum of understanding, this MOU with Cornell Law School. I remember there was this book launch event that happened in Indian Habitat Center in New Delhi. And I was there for the event. I saw Professor Rajkumar, I saw Professor Seetal Kalantri from Cornell Law School. And at that point of time, I was pretty sure that I wanted to pursue this program. And that's why I was really looking forward to this JD dual degree program, because it gives like, I remember Professor Seetal Kalantri telling us how the dual degree program will is emphasizing the importance of like a multi-jurisdictional approach to legal education, and also how like the dual degree JDLLB program enables us to practice with the law without borders. And I think that is so true, because being lawyers, we know that there are a lot of transactions, and there are like a lot of litigation that happens cross border. And and that's where this JD dual degree program actually like gives you a lot of perspective, because not only are you saving 2 years and getting both Indian and American law degrees, it actually gives your legal career a global perspective. So yeah, after Jindal signed this MOU, I looked up and I started talking to a few seniors. I started talking to this one of my seniors who was doing this JD program at Indiana, and I think it's very important in addition to professors to actually talk to like seniors, because I think they can be great mentors. So I started talking to the senior, and like she explained me the process of how you have to like do the JD dual degree program, and the application process, which I'll come to in a bit, basically entails three things. The International Collaborations Office will actually ask you for your GPA, for your resume, and for your statement of purpose. And I think like engaging in extracurriculars is like super important. I remember I didn't want to like restrict myself to the study that was happening inside the classroom. I really wanted to like explore outside, so I started doing moot court competitions. I gave the Moot Court Society inductions. My first moot court competition was in my third year when I participated in the GNLU Moot on Securities and Investment Law. After that, in my fourth year, I participated in the Philip C. Jessup International Law Moot Court competition, and I think my participation in the Jessup is played like a huge part in where I am today. And I'll just take this opportunity to like thank. It was like a great team. Thank you, Vidush, Tamanna, Riddhi, Rahul, as well as our coaches, Professor Raman, Professor Sagnik. Because like Jessup, like I need to thank each one of them, because like Jessup played a huge part in my journey. But like I think moots were not the only thing that were important. I was also like enrolled in the Taiwan Education Center. I was learning Mandarin for 3 semesters. So it's particularly important to acquire those skills, like both hard skills as well as soft skills, while you're in law school. Similarly, like I acquired legal writing skills. I was like writing for blogs and journals and getting myself published in a few blogs. Just like Anush, I was also like interested in competition law. So I took this Professor Latyan's elective on competition law in my third year. And just like Saurabh, I also took Professor Popovsky's elective on law and practice in the UN. So this was like kind of my journeys, but like fast forward to February 2020, I remember Jindal organized this another conference with Cornell, where they inaugurated the Cornell India Law Center, and I participated in that event too. And I got to know so much about the opportunity from that, because I got to know about the International Human Rights Clinic and the kind of like courses and clinics that Cornell offers in this program. And I think these conferences, webinars, seminars that Jindal organizes on a daily basis, it's like so important. Like it will help you like to a huge extent in your legal career. So yeah, let me talk about like the whole process. So like in October 2020, almost a year ago, Jindal, the International Collaborations Office in Jindal, they started inviting applications for both the JD as well as the LLM pathway program. And the moment I saw that mail, I was like, yeah, this is it. I have to like, it was at that point I opened my laptop and started working on my statement of purpose. So yeah, as I said, the application requires you to submit your transcript, your resume, as well as the SOP. And then after that, everybody who applies for this program, they complete an initial interview round. After that, students are like shortlisted. I think 5 students are shortlisted, and they have to like clear another interview round, which is taken by the Cornell admissions office. That's a Kira interview, which is like a virtual platform where you have to like answer on prompts. It was like it gets super stressful like with the Cornell applications, but like more importantly, I was also handling Jessup at that point of time, and I was also like doing the academics. But yeah, I think it happened for the best. But yeah, I think I've got to know a lot from the seniors in Jindal who went for the same program. I think I'll take another opportunity to like give them a shout out to Divij and Ayush Sani. Ayush is currently pursuing a JD MBA at Cornell, and I think he's the one person that who has helped me throughout this whole process. He has a huge part to play in this. And like we've maintained this friendship for like so long. I remember reaching out to him like a year ago, and I think yeah, he's like guided me with respect to the job fair, with respect to the visa processes, with respect to how you like how the like post selection process actually works, like which is like which gets really tiring. But like also take this opportunity to thank the international collaborations office because they've also like been supported a long way. Professor Malvika Seth, Professor Rashmi Patwari, and in the entire international collaborations office. And yeah, I think I don't know if there's like a formal mentorship program that actually happens in Jindal, but I think for all the people who are watching there, I think it's really important to actually go find talk to your seniors, talk to your professors informally, even if there is no formal mentorship program. So I got my acceptance from Cornell on 11th Feb this year, and that was the beginning. We then had our Jessup rounds in March, and in April our team performed extremely well. We came to the double octa finals. We received a memo award. We were the sixth best applicant. We got the sixth best applicant team award. But yeah, after Jessup, I started focusing on my academics because if you're participating in this dual degree program, you have to complete your fifth year subjects in your last semester. So I had around 9 subjects in my last semester. But as I said, the International Collaborations Office actually helps you a lot to manage all this. I started at Cornell last month. I was eligible to sit for their Cornell. I was eligible to sit for the Cornell's job fair with the 2Ls, with the second years in Cornell. I thought that I was in a slight disadvantage because I didn't have like a GPA. While all those like interviewees who were actually giving the interviews had like a year-long GPA. But I submitted to all the employers. I gave 26 screening interviews, and to all those 26 employers, I submitted my JGLS transcript. I got callbacks from White and Case. I got from Baker McKenzie, Freshfields, Deckert, Ropes and Gray. But like after the callback, I think White and Case was like my top choice, so I accepted their offer. But to conclude, I just like want to emphasize on the importance of networking, because when I was doing the Jessup, there was this White and Case Jessup event that White and Case actually organized. And I had the opportunity to actually interact with a few people from the New York office of White and Case, right? So that actually helped me, because when I mentioned that during my callback interview, they were actually like surprised with the fact that I know people from their office. So yeah, I think networking with people and like going into these events, webinars is like super important. To conclude, I think it's not only about like getting these opportunities, because Jindal will give you like hundreds of opportunities during your law school. But I think it's about grabbing those opportunities. So to all those people who like watching this, if you get, it's all about grabbing that one opportunity, and I think it'll be good. Yeah, I think yeah, Jindal has been an amazing experience. I hope we get to visit that soon, like as an alumni. Yeah, over to you, Professor.
Thank you so much, Guru Sahaj. Listening to you was a joy, I will say, and the way you made use of the opportunity to study at Jindal Global Law School, be it the moot court competitions, be it the dual degree program, or be it even attending the conferences and seminars, which a lot of law students deliberately, not want to attend. I mean, sometimes some of them are being forced to sit in those conferences and hear from the professors and scholars who come all the way. This Zoom is a new phenomenon. It happened only after March 20, but before that, almost every conference, seminar, workshop, colloquium was physical and on campus, where we invited people from almost around the country, around the world, from judges and jurists to, professors and scholars from around the world. So I totally support what you say, that it's important to attend those conferences, those seminars, those talks, those interactive sessions, like you mentioned, Professor Sital Kalantri and Professor Rajkumar being in that Cornell Jindal joint conference, which inspired you to, in a way, go to Cornell Law School. I very well remember that conference, and I was there in India Habitat Center that day. So now we have some 10, 12 questions which have come up, but I want Saurabh, one of our panelists and a bit experienced panelists, to share a bit about his work in the field of mental health, and particularly working with India's apex institution in the field, the National Institute of Mental Health and Neurosciences, the NIMHANS in Bangalore. So over to you, Saurabh.
Thank you very much, Professor. I'm just going to share a small presentation with everyone, and I try to sort of discuss one of the questions, I think, which is about how do you pursue this law and international law and policy if that's an area you're interested in. I don't think there's a straight answer to that, so I won't try to give you one. But there are various pathways, if we can call it that, that you can use to work at the intersection of law and policy, and they can look like many different things. One of it can, of course, look like you studying abroad, finishing your master's, and then you move into a policy space because there are legal teams, there are law teams, there are law officers in any policy organization. Or, through your work itself, through collaborations with your organization and other universities or other organizations, you end up doing that international policy or international law and policy work, if we can call it that. So it's either through studying further, through collaborations, but there isn't really a common pathway. While I discuss the work that I'm doing at NIMHANS and with the project where I work at, which is called Samvad, I will talk a little bit about how international collaborations can happen even through your own work. It doesn't necessarily, like I said, there are different pathways. So it's really a huge space. But one thing I need to preface all of this with is that international law as a word is like just referring to the law as a subject. There are so many, and I think Anush raised this point a little bit, there are so many specializations in any field of law. So what ideally anyone looking to study further or to work and then study later, what anyone should be focusing on is finding that specialization, because there are a lot of courses on public international law, and a lot of universities offer that, or general international law. You'd have universities like Amsterdam that offer a an international law course with a European focus. You'd have SOAS, which offers a purely critical international law course. Their only international law course is a critical international law course. You'd have other places like the Graduate Institute, which deals more with the dispute resolution. They also have good humanitarian law courses. So it's really the specialization, like what subject are you interested in? That is going to determine where you want to apply to, and what kind of work you want to take up. So I won't spend too much time on this, but I had applied to a bunch of law schools. I applied to Leiden because they had a peace and conflict studies course. I applied to Graduate Institute for their international law, general international law course, and there was Utrecht, SOAS with a critical international law course, and Amsterdam, of course. So I wasn't sure. I mean, just the collection of universities I applied to would tell you that I wasn't exactly sure what area of international law I want to hone into. So although I got into these universities, I didn't take it up because I didn't know what I want to specialize in. So I really, so what Anush was saying, you have to, you can do a course, but what do you want to, what's your area of interest? What will make your area of study stand out? I think that's the most important question. So I'll just share a small presentation, I think now. Just let me know in case it's not clearly visible. Is everyone able to see the slides? Okay, so the organization I work at is called Samvad, which is support, advocacy, and mental health interventions for children in vulnerable circumstances and distress. This project, although it's based out of NIMHANS, is supported by the Ministry of Women and Child Development, Government of India. So our focus is on addressing, law, mental health, and child protection in the context of vulnerable children. So that is really the focus of our work. Like I mentioned, we're supported by the Ministry of Women and Child Development, and this was Samvad is created as a national initiative. Basically, the goal with Samvad was to create a multidisciplinary and a transdisciplinary center that deals with all child and law related issues, and engages with it from multiple perspectives. Like I mentioned, from integrating the law, mental health, child protection. Just to give you an example, something that Chitrakshi had talked about when she spoke about her work, deaths and offenses, criminal offenses committed because of witchcraft, that's actually a law and mental health issue. Because in a lot of places, mental health disorders, because there's a lack of awareness of mental health issues, this becomes, because of traditional perspectives on it and traditional views, this becomes perceived as, a spiritual issue, or that it becomes a witchcraft related issue. So just to give you an example, these would sort of be the areas where you'd see intersections of two different disciplines. And it can be really challenging to navigate those areas, because, there's the element of awareness creation, but there's also this element of how do you ensure services are provided in that sort of a setting, so that people, offenses don't result from what is essentially a mental health issue. So the goal with Samvad was, like I mentioned in the beginning, to look at these issues from a transdisciplinary perspective. And a majority of our work, because I discussed this briefly, is systems work. So we work with governmental systems, we work with the judiciary. A major component of our work, we collaborate with state judicial academies, which work with the state high courts. We collaborate with the National Judicial Academy and with the Supreme Court, the Juvenile Justice Committee of the Supreme Court, which is also a committee that's present in all our high courts across the country. So our work is with systems, with judicial systems, with governmental systems, all the way from the center to the state to the district level administration. How do you engage with people on these issues of child and law? Very briefly, the core, if I had to answer a question about what you actually do, the first part of that is training and capacity building. So this would be training programs we do for judicial officers like district level judges, magistrates, and so on, various other judicial officers, POCSO court judges, special court judges, all of these judicial officers. We also train child protection functionaries who operate at the central, state, and district level. So these are the people who would make some of the most important decisions about child protection, about where to place a child. To give you an example, in the context of COVID, children who are orphaned and abandoned, what do you do with these children? What kind of systemic interventions can you have for these children? And of course, mental health professionals, because they're a key stakeholder for the organization. We also do something that's particularly interesting, which has been done really, is to engage with the judiciary on gray areas in the law. So all these difficult dilemmas in the law, engage with them by taking their perspective. So we do this uses format called deliberations, which is essentially a debate sort of a format where practicing judicial officers who work at the magistrate or the district level are able to actually discuss these issues and really debate it. So you get like a quality of perspectives on how they see this, which becomes very interesting for us, because you're able to engage stakeholders in something in a format like this that allows for discussion and engagement. And of course, program and policy research, which for a law student I think would be quite interesting. Someone is asking about policy, international law and policy. I can't speak about all the many disciplines under international law and policy, but if I was to take child and law specifically, a major part of our work is to take from the way other jurisdictions have approached important legal questions pertaining to children, how they answered it. Many of the questions, how do you deal with a child witness in a criminal trial, in a POCSO trial, because a child witness doesn't have the same competencies as an adult witness. These are not questions that haven't been answered. They've been answered in many jurisdictions by many countries. So how do you take from a comparative sense, how do you take from international instruments like the UN Child Rights Convention, how do you take from all of this to build research here in the Indian context, and to say that this is an alternative approach that we could maybe use to make the process more child friendly and whatever. So program policy research, a huge part of our work. And finally, of course, because our work takes from what we do with children, and since we are a multidisciplinary team, we also do direct work with children. So we provide assistance through counseling, through psychosocial support to children, because this ultimately also feeds into how we view things from a policy perspective. Policy is a zoomed out focus. You zoom out and you try to view the whole picture, but that can't really happen if you don't have also a direct engagement with the issue that you're dealing with. And a point I think that might be particularly relevant if students watching the program today have engaged with jurisprudence a little bit. One of the things you return to in jurisprudence is this idea of what Hart called the hard cases. Essentially the cases where the law can't really, it's about the elasticity of the law, where the law can't really apply, the cases at the issues at the margins of the law that raise very difficult dilemmas. So if I were to contextualize where we work, and we work in these hard cases at the margins of the law on issues that are really difficult to address, that raise lots of legal questions that there's no clear answer on. Everybody's confused about what we're supposed to do. So one aspect of this margins of the law dealing with children and the law is the issue with juvenile justice, or children who commit offenses, which is a major part of our child and law work. One of the issues post the Nirbhaya incident specifically was a change in the law that resulted in a policy wherein children committing certain heinous offenses could be transferred, to the adult criminal justice system. So what are the issues there? What kind of issues does it raise from the perspective of criminal responsibility, which is such an important part of criminal law? Well, how do you understand criminal responsibility in the context of adolescence? What does mental health research say about adolescent development and their capacity to commit offenses? And then you get into also philosophical questions in a certain sense about retribution versus rehabilitation, their effectiveness of both these approaches. So these are a few issues that I'd say we deal with in terms of understanding the gray areas in the law. The next important part, of course, is with child sexual abuse and what we call child forensics, which includes, of course, medical examinations and all those things, but also how do you get a child statement, recording a 164 statement under the CRPC? How do you speak to a child to get information that you need? There are lots of challenges here as well that at Samvad we sort of focus on, because this is also a gray area. One, like I discussed, I think briefly, child witness competency, keeping in mind their age, their developmental capacities. So a child of, say, 4 years of age, what are their, verbal narrative capacities, court language and communication, and of course, finally, with child witness credibility, are children unreliable witnesses, and so on. So this is just a very brief overview of the work. I think I've taken quite a lot of time already. So just lastly, to conclude, we in the context of COVID, we did some work with children as well. We worked on materials to help assist children, in things like how do you disclose how do you disclose death to a child? How do you help a child cope with the loss and grief experiences? How do you ensure child protection in the context of COVID? And of course, we end up writing about this engagement. We did a YouTube series where we were able to reach over 400 districts and over 35,000 childcare functionaries. And since we had this experience, we wrote about it for the Asian Journal of Psychiatry, basically talk about psychoeducation or communication, basically in the context of COVID, and how do you help people address these issues from a COVID lens, I think. Yeah. So that's about it. These are just the details for our website and email IDs in case you want to contact us. Currently, I think I discussed this with Professor Mishra briefly. There are also learning opportunities at Samvad, and since, like I mentioned, we do international collaborations. I think I probably discuss this with Professor later as well for students who are interested in applying. And I would stress this very importantly: child and law is a space that doesn't have enough law school students really going into it because it's such a niche area, whatever. But it's a space that can use everybody. It's an all hands on deck situation. So if this is something that interests you, you can certainly reach out to us, and I'll speak to Professor Mishra about how we could go about this later on as well. So thanks again, Professor. I think we can.
So such a pleasure, nice presentation. You can stop sharing so that the presentations.
I've just stopped.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So Saurabh, I completely agree with you. We want young people to think about not just corporate law and intellectual property and competition and trade and business and commercial laws or ADR, which have been the popular areas today, but also about child and law, women and law, about human rights, about the rights of, the vulnerable and marginalized in the society, the rights of prisoners, the rights of, I will say, the most vulnerable. It's very, very important. And the mental health patients, I feel they are actually the most vulnerable of the lot. If the highest support is needed from the government or from any agency for that matter, we have not done enough at all for the mental health patient. We have very limited medical facilities, psychiatric facilities, and also the manpower, the workforce. So the work you are doing at NIMHANS and also inspiring young people to think about, in a way, becoming a mental health professional and helping, children in conflict with law or the juvenile offenders. And it's all leads to building a better India, a better society, a better world. And that is what the first thing what any lawyer or any law student should aspire to do. So Guru Sahaj is going to write in case. That's a great opportunity, but to help the children in conflict with law, to help the juvenile who are in conflict with law, to help the women who need legal aid is something which is paramount. And that is the beauty, that session which we planned to be focusing on studying abroad is also including so many other aspects and diverse, I will say, thoughts and ideas. And it has become only richer for the audience and for us to deliberate. Now I will come to questions. Some 7 good questions have come up. Mr. K. Shankara Raman has asked a question about LLM in Canadian law schools in Canada. I will say, there is a very popular portal called llmguide.com. If you go there from, say, University of Toronto to McGill to even Dalhousie and a lot of other places which all offer LLM degrees, if you have a clarity about what exactly you want to study, the Canadian universities have a lot to offer. And actually this year, 3 of our graduates have joined LLM degrees in Canada, our 2021 batch. And of course, they are going to both Toronto and McGill. And there is one more university, I'm just maybe Western Ontario or somewhere. But now there are a lot of Jindal alumni who have become members of the Ontario Bar. I remember in our first JGLS students, this younger scholars colloquium, Anga was our first batch LLB graduate of 2009-12, who is a qualified lawyer now, a member of the bar in both Canadian Bar Association, Canadian Bar as well as the Ontario Bar Association, and working with Fasken, a top Canadian law firm. Many of our graduates have become members of the Canadian Bar now. Of course, I will say Mr. Shankar Raman to research more about the option. There are multiple options, multiple pathways. Maybe some feedback I will like to have from Anush, or maybe if you have done some research, Guru Sahaj, you can throw some light. But before that, there were a few questions which I think I should be taking up. There is a question maybe from one of our students studying at Jindal, like how and when to apply for semester abroad program. I will say we have Guru Sahaj explained in detail. We have an amazing system in place where there is, on the one side, there is a university level office presently led by none other than Professor Dr. Mohan Kumar, the Office of International Affairs and Global Initiatives, which can be like the international office of the university, as well as the Assistant Dean Office for International Collaborations. So Professor Malvika Seth used to take care of that office, and indeed it has helped not few, but a large number of students, fulfilling their aspiration, whether it's a semester action. So you should wait to hear from the International Collaboration Office. Students receive an email about all the opportunities which become available, whether it's a summer school or winter school. There is a question from an anonymous attendee that do we have a 2-3 weeks of overseas opportunity to study, particularly introduction to economic laws in a place, say in Germany or Berlin. As of now, in Jindal, there are some, I mean, a range of summer schools and winter school, the most popular one being the Oxford Summer School. There is one with Harvard University, which is a summer school in human rights and development. But what you are saying, economic laws, there is one with Columbia University, where it's a business law academy, where students who are aspiring to study business and corporate law go for that. And in addition to all this, Jindal Global Law School is the only member from India of a body called Law School Global League, which has some 28-30 law schools from around the world who promote global legal education, who promote international and comparative study of law, and who aim to produce not domestic lawyers, but global lawyers in true sense. So Law School Global League offers a range of summer schools, and JGLS students are entitled to go for that. There is another question from Mr. Rajesh Lalchandani about medical law, or what even Anush was throwing light about it. So medical law, where I will like Anush to add a bit more about it. But if it relates to medical negligence and law, which has developed in India now a lot, earlier being a very small area of law of torts and consumer protection, now indeed it is emerging as an important area of law. And I'm not surprised, one of the MBBS graduates in past came to study a 3-year LLB program at Jindal, and now he has become a qualified advocate and practicing in Karnataka High Court in Bangalore. Dr. Prajwal, one of our alumni, indeed a person with an MBBS degree and then getting an LLB degree from Jindal Global Law School. You can imagine his combining the strengths of both medicine and law and putting that in practice in, say, a Karnataka High Court, or for that matter, in any legal matter related to, I will say, medical issues and law. It's going to be a very, very niche area of practice for anyone who chooses to go for it. So over to you, Anush. I would like to have your view about LLM in Canada as well as medical law.
I can't say much about Canada because I never researched much on it. But the UK and Europe is a perspective I could throw a lot of light upon. I mean, if someone does want to ask that, but even the US, I wouldn't know much about it, or maybe Gursuch would be the right person to answer that. But coming to medical law, obviously it's not my field, but I do know some universities in the UK who specialize in that. So Edinburgh has a good law school. Some of the, I think City College London, which is also not as renowned as the other London law schools, but I think they have a good medical law practice, either City College or one of the other London law schools, not the main ones. But what I'm trying to say is some law schools really specialize in particular facets of the law, be it medical law or intellectual property, or I mean, many law schools now specialize in intellectual property, and competition law has also now become quite an open topic because of its relevance due to the emergence of big tech and all that. But coming to medical law, the other facet, apart from just negligence, and that area is also to do with pharmaceuticals. And in competition law, we engage with medical law to the extent that when it comes to excessive pricing of pharmaceuticals, and the refusal to supply of pharmaceuticals, and whether a certain pharmaceutical is an essential input or an essential need, that also becomes, I think, relevant to medical law. Maybe not fully, but those are the different ways that the law can be applied to medicine as well, to answer the doctor's question. So you could definitely do something like what you said Prajwal did. He did a doctorate, I mean, a doctor's degree, and then came and did the LLB, and then he started practicing as a lawyer. So That's really good because even IP lawyers, the most preferred IP lawyers are those who have a background in tech or who've done an engineering degree. So it really helps if you have technical knowledge. So the best competition lawyers wouldn't be, say, I couldn't be the best competition lawyer. The reason being, I was never trained in economics. And I think from a personal point of view, those who have a basis in economics and who've been taught economics at an undergrad level at least, would have a better understanding than me, whose understanding of economics is limited to competition law. So when you have that deeper understanding, it's always preferable. So yeah, that's my answer to the medical law question. But I think Canada,
Wonderful input.
yeah, Gurset should probably take that one. I wouldn't be able to add to it.
Wonderful input, Anush. You are so candid and true. And that is where, again, having a first degree in a good area, be it economics, be it pharmacy, be it medicine, be it management, be it even political science or history or literature, or be it global affairs, what Chitrakshi has studied, it's certainly going to help becoming a better lawyer if you take up an LLB degree after that. But the last question, which Ms. Ishita has asked about her being a communication professional with 10 years of experience, whether she can study law and become a lawyer or, can move to the legal profession now at this stage, I will like to take it up before we close the session because our time is almost up. So for Ishita, my answer is, of course, you can study law. There is no age bar to study law. There was an age bar proposed by Bar Council of India in previous notification, but that is actually not enforced because it was challenged in the court of law. And as of now, I remember in my class at Delhi University, there were some senior police service officers of serving Delhi administration, and even some officers of revenue service, and even some corporate people and qualified chartered accountants running their practice were studying LLB degree with me. And that has been a practice at Law Center 1 and Law Center 2, University of Delhi. Though in present legal education system, law is a full-time degree program. So even if you are having an experience of 10 years of working in the communication sector, if you secure admission in one of the good law schools in the 3-year LLB degree, you can pursue the 3-year LLB degree and then become a lawyer in whatever field. Rather, your experience and background of communication, and particularly the work you have done in a particular industry or field, that is always going to help you when you qualify as a lawyer and start looking for some really good work. So with these words, I will like to have a last word from each of the panelists before we close the session. And thank you so much, the audience, every member who attended this event and attending this event on a Saturday evening in India and early morning in the US for Gursahaz, in the afternoon for Anush. So I should start with Chitrakshi, some last words for the session.
Thank you, sir. Well, this colloquium was quite insightful overall. And although most of my LLB has been in this pandemic, so I've just got a semester and looking forward to doing LLM overseas and with some collaboration with JGLS. That's thank you, sir.
Wonderful. So, Gursahaz.
Yeah, I'll just take some points. So with respect to the Canadian LLM question, I think UT, University of Toronto, is like a really good college. I have like one of my friends and one of my classmates. He's from Vancouver, but like yesterday only we were talking about how good UT is. In fact, Widencase actually employed 3 people from University of Toronto this time. So I think you should like totally consider that particular university. But and with respect to Ishita's question, I was also in touch with one of the people from Bangalore. She had like 7 years of experience in finance, and she decided to do a JD after that. And she's in Cornell. She's in my class. So I think if not LLB, I think having 10 years of experience in communication, you can actually explore the JD option as well, full-time 3-year JD. Yeah, and I think like this has been like a great platform to actually talk about your experiences. Definitely encourage people to reach out to me if they have any questions via my Jindal email. I'll be like really happy to answer all the questions. Thank you.
Wonderful, Gussack. Saurabh, some last word.
So I mean, I don't have much to say, but I just think, I think I said this already. There is no like one pathway to studying abroad or going for your further studies. There's literally so many permutations of that's it's not even going to be possible for all of us to discuss it. You can, you apply to a place that you're interested in, or you work for a couple of years, and then you might sort of specialize even more, or you might choose to do something else. In my case, moving to child and law, it prompted me to also look at, further options with regard to the child and law space. And then I was looking at other universities and stuff. So there's no one pathway, I'd say. And irrespective of whether you've focused on one area of study like I did with international law, that doesn't bind you at all. You can either study that, you can move out, you can focus on something else. There's really no set pathway. I think that's what I'd say. Yeah.
So, Anush,
It was a pleasure being here, and it was really nice to hear all these different perspectives and, from all the other three panelists. And last words would be, if you have any questions regarding LLM applications or even PhD application, you can write to me on LinkedIn. I think you've provided the links on the hyperlinks on the page. Apart from that, I think just finish off on Jindal. I think it's important to realize that if you are in Jindal, or if you're going to Jindal, or if you're going to use Jindal for any of your future endeavors, it's important to realize you are in a very privileged position, irrespective of, you get a scholarship and you're able to study there, or you're able to pay and study there. But once you understand it, I think it's important to utilize that privilege in the best possible manner. And there are a lot of things that you can do with that privilege. So it's just about utilizing it in the best possible manner that you want. You just don't want to go there and pass your degree and then go. What's the point of it? You're there to make the best use of it for yourself. And you need to just sit back and think, okay, these are the courses I want to do. The question on international law, this is what I want to focus on. And then, subsequently, you'll be able to figure out your own path that way. And it's just about knowing what interests you, and just see whatever you have fun with, and just to resonate with what the other panelists said as well. And you'll be able to then see what you want to do later on.
So great message, Anush, particularly those students of Jindal Global Law School who are attending this session or who watch this video later on, because my experience is some 1,000 people watch our this program on YouTube. Even after the program is over, by looking at the YouTube video or the university Facebook account, where we generally put up these videos for the use of general public. But this program, this Young Scholars Colloquium, will continue. Every student of law is a young scholar. Every alumni is a young scholar. Everyone who is in the field of law in a way is working for justice, for rule of law, and for making this world a better place. So with these words, thank you so much, all the panelists and the audience who attended this session. Till we come with the next colloquium with the alumni and students of Jindal Global Law School. So thank you so much. Have a great evening. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.